Good luck.
I have a question, Stuart, Chris.
Yes, Chris.
Stuart, I've been having even hearing my skull cracking open around the crown here. Um, I know you've described that before, but I'd like to know more about that. What's happening?
What have you been having?
Feels like my skull is cracking open and even makes cracking sounds, my bones.
Well, it's just, I mean, look, all of knowledge, all of wisdom is in the third eye. It comes from a higher place in the universe. Most of our tension is in that area also, in the head. And we need to open those chakras there. And they get, because of the amount of tension inside people, they get very tight. And when they start to open, it's almost like the skull starts cracking,
Yeah.
you know, a whole different, you have all these kind of iconographic images that begin to manifest in your third eye and, on the top of your head. And it's a product of the fact that, look, you have two things going on there. One of them is most of the tension manifested in a human being starts there. The second thing is all of knowledge, all of wisdom, energy of a higher nature comes into us through the crown chakra, and nurtures the third eye, opens the third eye, so we can begin to see what's real, what's an illusion, and function on a higher plane. What you're experiencing is that area opening.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, the first time I ever learned about that was from Rudy, where he once showed me how the third eye, this area here, just literally just cracked open in his head and formed like the wings of a phoenix bird. And, it was really fantastic. And when I began to experience that in myself, I had precedence. I knew what was going on. It didn't bother me. You might have headaches, you might have all kinds of things like that, but it's nothing except the fact that the third eye, the whole skull in a human being is starting to open and to receive connection with a higher force of energy in the universe. There's always a price to be paid for these things, and the price is usually a certain degree of pain.
yeah.
But it's even more painful if the tension takes over, because then it begins to affect the whole body. And the whole body gets tight and the heart gets closed and there's no centeredness. And, it becomes a mess. So, what you're experiencing is really very important in your growth. And one of the ways to deal with it is to just open your heart. Let all of that energy flow down. Let it flow down and nurture your heart and then bring it into the chakra below the navel and let it energize your entire being. And when the rest of you gets energized and is open that way, then it makes it possible for the mind to stay quiet and this whole thing to stay open. It doesn't close up because you stop losing consciousness of it and you begin to attract all that tension and kind of insanity that goes on in the human brain. So
Oh,
what
wow.
you asked about is very important, Chris, not only for you, but for everybody here.
Oh,
Sometimes people have headaches and oh, I got a headache. And it's just the energy trying to open the chakra. And there's so much resistance that you get a headache. Instead of relaxing and opening your heart and letting it take place, people fight it. People, oh, I got a headache. All right, relax in your heart. It'll go away. And then that whole area will open up. It's being energized. And the headache is usually resistance to the third eye, that chakra in the forehead opening. Heartaches are usually the resistance to the heart chakra opening. So there's so much tension there, resistance to letting go creates a lot of aches and pains in people. Shouldn't. You should just let go.
Well, that's really helpful. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome, Chris. It's part of growth. It really makes a lot of other things possible. I also would like to announce the fact that, starting next week, Chris is going to be doing an audible version of my book. And I think that's exciting because nobody reads anymore. People have their earplugs and plugged into something in their car and they listen to audio. I think maybe 10 times more than people read today. Although I wrote a book and it's there for reading, people prefer the audible than they do. I don't know why, but that's what people prefer. Anyway, it's going to be done next week. It'll be available on a lot of venues, I hope. I don't know even how to do that, but I'm hoping somebody does. I probably will be on Spotify and all these other places. So, or you can get copies of it that you can have and, use in whatever device you use to listen to. So that's going to be a great thing. I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. It's exciting.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Hey, Stuart. I was actually, it's Heidi. I was going to ask about the heart and just how that, the energy, the power of love. If you could speak about that.
Well, I mean, look, the ultimate goal of all human struggle, be it the material world, be it the spiritual world, the emotional world, the intellect, is love, happiness. That is, I mean, why do people get married? Well, they're going to be happy. Why do people get houses and cars and, buy things that's supposed to make them happy? They do. They turn people on for a little bit, but the ultimate goal is to get oneself happy, where we have mastered the chakra system and having that kind of inner strength that keeps the heart open. And you begin to experience this, first of all, when you start liking yourself, when you stop beating yourself up and you take a good look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I have self-worth. I am worthy of having a happy life. Why do I have to spend my life beating myself up, feeling insecure, feeling, downtrodden, feeling depressed, and then to answer that question, I got to do the work on myself. I have to build a system that can keep my heart open. And it always starts with liking yourself. You are worthy of having a happy life. That's where it starts. And once you get that, you have the system to sustain that, then it, extends itself to family, relationships, friendships, jobs, whatever you do in the world, you find God, the presence of God in every situation that you interact with in your life. Something to learn about yourself so that you can get more open. But it starts with oneself. It doesn't start out there. Nothing out there is going to make us happy for more than 20 minutes. It's really not. I mean, it turns us on. Yeah, okay, we fall in love. It's great. 6 months later, we're picking the person apart, that we've fallen in love with. The whole point of all this is to get your heart open so that 6 months later, you're finding the newness in that other person, the thing that you really love about them. the forgiveness you have for their, you know, when they, do things you don't like, finding the highest aspects of your humanity. But it starts with oneself. If you don't like yourself, you're not going to truly like anybody else. You're always going to find a reason to put them down, to why they're not right, they're wrong, they're this, they're that. And you have to finally accept that people are going to do a lot of bullshit. Each and every one of us are going to do a lot of bullshit. It's just the nature of the world. But can we forgive ourselves? And can we forgive other people? That keeps the heart open. But to do what I'm talking about require, to be very honest with you, there is something I am getting tired of because I work very hard to sustain this meditation. And every week it's here, 7 times a week. And there are people that show up once a month, and I'm going to take them honestly off my list, and I have patience, I wait. There are people I haven't heard from literally for years. They had physical family problems. I said, okay, but then for years later, they still don't show up at meditation class. And I'm going to start taking people off my list if they don't show up. Because first of all, there's nothing I can do for them. Why are they coming to class once every 3 months? How can that help them grow spiritually in terms of the work that we do here? So the reason I'm mentioning this is that in order to open the heart and keep the heart open, one needs training. We need a great deal of Shakti, energy coming into us, strengthening the chakra system. Now, we don't get that on the job. We don't get that. We almost never get that from our families. We don't, we get that when we practice deep inner work and meditation. That provides the kind of energy, the power that we can truly give to our families, that we can truly give to other people because we have the strength inside to keep our hearts open. So, it's training, it's time. It took me years to learn this, of coming to meditation classes, running ashrams, running, meditation centers, doing everything possible I can. I had to do to learn exactly what I'm talking about. And never taking for granted the thing that was providing it for me. So people need training. They need Shakti, energy. They need an abundance of that Shakti. And as Rudy used to say, most of the human race is starving to death. It suffers from malnutrition, spiritual malnutrition. And it's very real. I mean, you look at people, and you can see how much they hunger for something that they don't make an effort to get. So how do you keep the heart open? I'm telling you how, exactly how. You got to learn how to build a system inside that is strong enough to do it. And taking the thing that can provide you that for granted, it doesn't work. I mean, somebody comes to class, every time this person comes to class, 10 minutes later, they're gone. I mean, what's the purpose of being here? I mean, in your life, you say, okay, I will make this time to do the meditation. And I know my own life, oh, I've been through that story 1,000 times. I don't want to go through it again. At any rate, what I'm talking about is the key to learning what you asked, Heidi. It requires the kind of commitment to building that kind of system inside that makes this happen. Otherwise, it's just time goes by and we all get older and probably a little bit more miserable as we get older, frightened of age and death and all this stuff, And that's what takes over in people instead of We get older and our system gets younger. Our system gets more open and more receptive to higher energy nurturing us inside.
Thanks, Stuart.
You're welcome, Heidi. I mean, it's a pretty interesting answer, but it is the answer to the question, you know? And it all depends on each and every one of us. It really does, you know? There's always a reason not to do. The biggest reason should be to do, you know, to do what gives you your life, what gives you your energy. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says or does, or it's all nonsense because most people talk out of the side of their mouth anyway when they have opinions about other people. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I hope what I've been talking about is clear, you know, because it's the key to all of this. The commitment, the Shakti, the energy, this chakra system getting strong enough inside to be able to deal with life and to be a receptacle for spiritual energy. Okay, if there are no more questions, then there will be class this evening. Jennifer will teach it. And the next class at this time will be on Sunday. And then Pat Fay teaches the class Sunday evening. So God bless you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
Happy Hanukkah.
Huh?
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. You too. Holiday lights.
Yes.